We may push this video out on Substack, and so I need you here at the beginning of this monologue to hear a caveat. I do not want you to angrily complain that I am helping the Democrats, because I know and you know they're not listening to any advice. But I, as someone who has run political campaigns around the country at the federal, state, and local level quite successfully, and knows how to conduct and read polling and research group data, can accurately diagnose the problem with the Democratic Party. And it was on display for all to see last night, not just at the quasi-State of the Union address, but in the aftermath with Senator Elise Laken from Michigan. And it began with the Geico caveman getting expelled from the floor, or dragged out of the floor, rather, Congressman Al Green, by the Speaker of the House and under orders of the Speaker of the House. It was a discombobulation as the president began to speak, and Al Green just stood angrily yelling at the president, shaking his cane, a doddering old fool that he is.
Likewise, small business optimism saw its single largest one-month gain ever recorded, a 41-point jump.
Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House and to cease any further disruptions. That's your warning.
There he is. He's standing, he's yelling, he's angry.
Members are engaging in willful and continuing breach of decorum, and the chair is prepared to direct the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order to the joint session.
The Democrats sit stoically in their chairs, not making eye contact even with each other, as Al Green continues to storm, waving his cane in the air, yelling at the president, defiant.
Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Take your seat. Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order.
Green got booted, and that was the best the Democrats could do. This is Rachel Bade from the government-subsidized Politico.
My primary takeaway was that Democrats stole the show, but not necessarily in a good way for the party. Look, I think there's a reason that Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries told his members yesterday to be on their best behavior, not to be protesting, not to draw attention away, and they didn't listen. They made themselves the story. They heckled, they had signs, they walked out.
That's Rachel Bade, the of Politico, and this is left-wing. Can you call him a comedian? Because he stopped being funny a long time ago. Stephen Colbert after the speech.
Elected billionaires have just begun. Elon, take a bow, Elon. You paid for it. No, he paid for it. The man barked out one appalling claim after another, but don't you worry. The Democrats came ready to fight back with their little paddles, okay? That is how you save democracy, by quietly dissenting or bidding on an antique tea set. It was hard to tell what was going on. I'm just kidding. That was very cool, Democrats. In fact, I made my own sign.
The sign just tried doing something. I mean, this is the problem for the Democrats. They're in a bubble, and in their bubble, they are virtuous, they are heroic, they are brave, they are kind, they are caring, they are competent. And in their bubble, it is the Republicans who are mean, nasty, bigoted, threat to democracy, Nazis, who probably generate green chat bubbles in their text messages like my call screener. They view themselves as the heroes of the story. They view themselves as the righteous ones. They don't even just view themselves as the righteous ones. They view themselves as, in their phrasing, the most smug phrase you can possibly utter. They view themselves as on the right side of history. You're not on the right side of history. You're on the wrong side of the American public. Donald Trump won the popular vote. He's still popular. In most, not all, but most polling right now and polling averages, Donald Trump still has about a 50% approval rating, and Democrats have a 20% approval rating. And last night in Donald Trump's speech, he staked out a bunch of positions that have 80% support, and Democrats were on the wrong side of every last one of them. Boys and girls sports, Democrats are on the unpopular side. Securing the border, Democrats are on the unpopular side. Making cities safer, Democrats are on the unpopular side. Rounding up illegal immigrants and deporting them, Democrats are on the unpopular side. Time and time again, the Democrats are on the unpopular side. And it got to the point last night where Donald Trump had a bunch of people in the gallery with heroic stories. He had the guy released from Russia and his family there. The Democrats would not clap for a man that Joe Biden couldn't get out of the gulag. Donald Trump had Laken Riley's mother and sister there. The Democrats could not be kind to her. Donald Trump had a young lady there who had been injured by a dude pretending to be a woman playing volleyball, left with some temporary and other permanent damage. The Democrats couldn't be kind to her. And worst of all, Donald Trump had DJ Daniels there. DJ Daniels is a 13-year-old kid who wants to be a police officer, who's been battling brain cancer. Donald Trump not only had him there in his police uniform, where he was, last year there was a viral clip of him being ruthlessly picked on by others for wearing his police uniform. That was actually his police uniform, given to him as an honorary member of his local police department. Last night, Donald Trump made the kid an honorary member of the Secret Service, and the Democrats sat on their hands instead of cheering on the heroic story of a 13-year-old battling brain cancer. They couldn't bring themselves to embrace normalcy and kindness, all while virtue signaling to themselves that they are the kind and righteous ones. It actually led to a Rachel Maddow meltdown on TV last night over this particular kid. I was kind of shocked, but she's wearing funeral black as she covers the speech. Listen to Rachel Maddow.
For the record, and this is disgusting, the president made a spectacle out of praising a young man who's thus far survived pediatric cancer, as if the president had something to do with that. This was in the midst of him praising DOJ. The DOJ cuts, among other things, have cut off funding for ongoing research into pediatric cancer.
You better believe.
Now,
Likewise,
you will recall that at the end of last year, it was Republicans and Democrats in Congress moving to extend the government that canceled funding for a pediatric childhood cancer research fund. And it got to the Senate, and the Senate saved it. That is legislated funding by Congress that DOJ can't touch and has not touched. DOJ has certainly paused or frozen some grants to research some cancers, but it doesn't mean they are permanently killed. I had some anti-Trump described independent conservative tell me how cruel it was. How cruel it was. You know what's cruel? You know what's cruel? Curing cancer in a kid like DJ Daniel and then saying, guess what? Now your country's bankrupt and you're going to be a third world and impoverished. That's cruel. I used the analogy yesterday. I've used it before. I'm going to say it one more time. When a plane loses pressure, they tell you put your mask on first before you put the mask on anyone else. Because if you're struggling to put the mask on a person who's not capable of putting the mask on themselves, you're going to get the mask on them and then you're going to black out and die. If they can't put a mask on themselves, they're not going to be able to put the mask on you. If you want to actually save people's lives, you put your mask on first and then you help the other people. And they may be passed out by the time you turn to help them. But when you put the oxygen mask on them, they're going to start to revive. They're still breathing. Their breathing is slowing as they head to respiratory distress, as the plane has lost air pressure. But they're going to revive. You're going to live and they're going to live. If you put the mask on the person who can't do it for themselves, you're going to die. If the United States does not take care of its fiscal house first, it can't take care of the kids with cancer. If the United States does not restrain its spending, it can't help the kid with cancer because it's going to be bankrupt. You could come and say, it's so cruel. It's cruel to stop funding cancer research. You know what's worse is not being able to fund anything. Every line item in the budget has a constituency. But if you don't understand, we can't fund any of those line items if we go broke. And then you're going to be upset, oh, we can't fund it. We can't fund this. We can't fund that. And Democrats are on the wrong side of all of it. They can dress in pink and they can hold their little signs that say false. Donald Trump would say true things last night. They'd hold up the sign that said false. They're on the wrong side of everybody. They're attacking a kid with brain cancer because he's a young black boy who supports Donald Trump. A race traitor, this kid is to the Democrats. Donald Trump, a man they claim is a sexual predator, was on the side of women last night. The Democrats were on the side of insane men. Donald Trump last night was on the side of securing the border. The Democrats were on the side of the illegal aliens. Donald Trump last night was on the side of the American people, and the Democrats were on the side of the fringe. I think MSNBC is a dangerous, dangerous poison to the Democrats because they get their news from MSNBC and to some degree portions of CNN, but mostly MSNBC and the New York Times, where reliably partisan progressives regurgitate to Democrats the things they believe are true, the things they believe are real, the things they believe are reality, and they're out of touch with the American people. The Democrats like to say they're reality-based, and as their minds have engaged in epistemic closure, reality has moved beyond them. The Democrats like to say the facts are on their side, and as their minds have engaged in epistemic closure, the facts have moved beyond them. So the Democrats no longer live in reality surrounded by facts. They live in an alternative reality, echoed and distorted by MSNBC that they think is right. And meanwhile, where did it end up for the Democrats? Last night, they couldn't cheer a kid with brain cancer. They couldn't cheer parents who lost their daughter to illegal aliens. They couldn't cheer a mother and children whose son died because a stray bullet meant for Donald Trump hit him instead. They couldn't cheer a girl who had been injured by a trans athlete. They couldn't cheer a family whose son had returned home from a Russian gulag. They couldn't cheer Americans who lived lives that the Democrats thought were theirs to take credit for, and instead it was Donald Trump being able to take credit for him. So the Democrats couldn't bring themselves to be nice. They couldn't bring themselves to be kind. They couldn't bring themselves to cheer. The Democrats can dress in pink or black, or they can get their old angry men to shake canes in the air and yell, and all it tells the American public is we were right to reject these people who only represent the 20% of insane people in this country, while Donald Trump himself embraces American reality.